helped us learn a lot of things about structure, and we shared that night and those pieces. And yet, not being able to, and I understand that out there from the consensus, they said, administration, you need to spend some time and make some recommendations out there relative to those pieces, and that's what we shared. It has taken longer than I thought, and the piece of that in terms of the administrative staffing situation, which you're well aware of, and coming to a recommendation, which we will present to you this evening. In terms of this is information that we've talked about previously too, but as we work through with the structure committee out there, we have lots of discussion in amongst what we believe represent thoughts of our staff in terms of needs for our common core values, and these are listed in one of the pages in that summary. You don't have to necessarily, but as we look at structure changes, what course offerings and student opportunities need to be in terms of our primary thrust out there, trying to keep the students in the forefront. Physically doable, obviously, again, we're not going to change our structure significantly in terms of rooms and some of those kinds of pieces. And you can read the rest of them out there in terms of common prep periods, home base, advisory, financially feasible. These are not, we're not rank ordered in terms of these are just discussions we wanted to keep in the forefront as we look to make a structure recommendation. Okay? You may recall, as we talked about with the night that we had the presentation for staff, community, and Holy Family, the board, there relative to the structure, we talked about this pyramid in terms of these three areas really have interplay with each other and impact each other. And in terms of the first piece out there, the grade level structure, there was discussion and has been discussion about should we move the 5th and or 6th grade into a configuration of some truer middle school. And in doing that, move the 9th grade to the high school, and what does that do for us? I think pretty much even before the structure committee kind of handed some of this off to the administration out there, it became relatively clear that moving the 5th and or the 6th grade really did nothing for us in terms of our size, because we ended up just transferring the shared staff issue. Instead of being a junior high, senior high issue by moving the 9th grades up, and there was still some of it there in terms of the secondary, what we ended up with is shared staff between a middle school concept and the elementary. Because, and again, as I shared with the staff this afternoon, I'm not sure what to make out of our state and the license issue sitting out there. If any of you read the Sunday Tribune, there's about a 2-page article that talks about some districts that have had literally dozens of staff not fully licensed, and the state done nothing. But in terms of, as we looked at it out there, if we were to move an upper elementary staff that's licensed in grades 5 through 8 for math, for example, up to cover some of the 7th and 8th grade math into a middle school kind of setting, we ended up with partial elementary teachers then left to go back and teach 4th grade or 5th grade partial days. And as we worked through that, there was just no good scenario in terms of making those licensure and those kinds of staff members fit relative to positions that are available. Certainly we looked at trying to move some of those people into title and some of those kinds of things, but then you ended up with split staff members for the primary core teacher, those kinds of shared kinds of combinations. It was difficult enough looking at shared combinations, shared staff in the secondary. Arguably, it's even worse in terms of the elementary, in terms of the contact piece and that. But the recommendation we bring to you tonight will be that we remain a pre-K through 6 elementary school out there, and we'll be dealing with the secondary in terms of a unit. Get back to that in a minute. The daily structure period, particularly for our secondary, that's the issue